Good morning, Songjun. Good morning, So. Good morning, Yuna. Good morning, Jaime. Good morning, Baby Bump. How are you guys today? Like, everyone's still sleeping. Yesterday, I bought a book for Ryan and Henry, but it's quite a bit of reading in it, so I haven't read it to them yet. I might get Eileen to read it later on, but don't tell them. Anyway, it's called The Snail and the Whale. It sounds fantastic. And looking at the pictures, wow, I'd love to be there. Look at that lovely whale. Got to look after the whales. Very important. People don't realise. Extremely important to the ecosystem. This is a tale of a tiny snail and a great big grey blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. And as she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny snail. So there's the rock, there's the snail, and there's it looking out over the seas and the oceans. That's definitely the UK, I'd say. There's a lighthouse there as well. See, we've got a lighthouse here in Eastbourne. Might be, no, not all the way that's. These are the other snails in the flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wriggle. Sit still, stay put." But the tiny sea snail sighed and sniffed, then cried, "I've got it, I'll hitch a lift." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a slithery trail that looped and curled and said, "Lift wanted around the world." So there's all the snails on the rock, and there, look, there's the snail slime with the message written on, "Lift wanted around the world." So who's going to give it a lift? This is the whale who came on one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright. A humpback whale, I saw some of them in Australia, immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral coves and shooting stars and enormous waves. There's nothing more beautiful than the real world. Forget the cities. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out of the starlit sea and said to the snail, "Come, sail with me." So look, there's the big humpback whale, and he's going to take the snail for a world cruise. Wouldn't that be amazing? This is the sea, so wild and free, that carried the whale and the snail on his tail. Bit difficult for a whale to swim if it can't put its tail in the water, but who knows? To towering icebergs and far off land. So look, they're in one of the polar areas, aren't they, perhaps? Or maybe somewhere cold and icy. With fiery mountains and golden sands. Look, volcanoes erupting, monkeys in the trees, turtles on the beach. Just incredible. Got to look after it. These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. These are the caves beneath the waves where stripy fish and feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam around the whale and the snail on his tail. Sorry, my reading's a bit off this morning, isn't it? But look at that, it's quite a big book. Wow, incredible. This is the sky, so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. So look, thunder, lightning. There's the snail on the whale's tail. Oh, there's some parrots or something in the tree there, isn't there? And some crabs on the beach. And she gazed at the sky, the sea, the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand. She gazed and gazed, amazed at it all. And she said to the whale, "I feel so small. Look at that." Maybe somewhere in Alaska there or Canada where look, bears and the mountains and the way the water meets is it a river, kind of inlet, something, or a cove maybe? Did say cove, didn't it? Yes. But then came the day the whale lost his way. These are the speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-splitting roar, making him swim too close to the shore. This is the tide slipping away. Oh no, is it going to be a sad story? The whale's beached, it's stranded. Oh no, look, because of the human beings. Oh, we're always getting it wrong, aren't we? And this is the whale lying beached in a bay. Quick, off the sand, back to sea, cried the snail. I can't move on land, I'm too big, moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then, I've got it, she cried, and started to crawl. I must not fail, said the tiny snail. This is quite dramatic, isn't it? Really quite sad. I have to say, I would find it very upsetting to find that on a beach somewhere, because you just wouldn't be able to move it and get it back in the water again, would you? It would be terrible. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, sit straight, don't talk. This is the board, as black as soot. And this is the snail with the itchy foot. A snail, the teacher turns pale. Look, say the children, it's leaving a trail. This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail saying, what's the trail? What's the snail slime saying? Now, there's the teacher and the children. Can you read what it says on the board? Save the whale. Save the whale. Stop eating them. These are the children running from school, fetching the fireman, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. Come on! Save the whale! This is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting, hooray, as the whale and the snail travel safely away. Look, the human beings did a great thing then. Look, they got together and they saved the whale. Let's go back a page. I didn't see what they were doing here. Look, they were squirting with it water to keep it hydrated, I guess, until because whales can breathe. They're mammals, so they breathe oxygen. Okay, but they need to keep wet as they dry out and die on the beach. Okay, so that's what they're doing. They're keeping it wet until the tide comes back in. Fantastic. Look, the firefighters with their hoses. Good. And there it is. The whale's back out in the ocean because it's been saved. Yay! Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said, how time's flown and haven't you grown? And the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves, and of how the snail, so small and frail, with her looping, curling, silvery trail, saved the life of the humpback whale. The humpback whale held out its tail, and on crawled snail after snail after snail. Look, animals working together. Look, just a little snail can make a difference in this story. We can definitely make a difference. And they sang to the sea, and they all set sail on the tail of the grey blue humpback whale. Look at that. That's a lovely story. It was a good story, that was, wasn't it? Love you all. Bye-bye.